This is FCTV, fan-controlled television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of fan-controlled sports and entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Oh, no.
Flawless. Absolutely flawless that was. Holy moly. Not a single. No. I want this. I want this view. There we go.
That's what we want. There it is. That was
an absolutely flawless intro. That has never happened. Everything went smoothly. I don't know if it's just because the sun is shining because it's December 1st. I mean, we're into the last month of 2023. It's my birthday in 2 days. I mean, here we go.
Happy early from, on behalf of the entire fan-controlled fandom family, on behalf of fan-controlled sports, I can officially say happy early birthday.
Thank you very much. I'm turning 30 years old.
Oh my God, amazing. You don't look a day over 28.
I know. 30 years old for the 17th time. Welcome to...
So you're 3,000 years old, like 4,000 years old.
Yeah. I'm 30 plus 17. I'll be 30 plus 17. Welcome to Fan Controlled Fandom. Here we are. We made it. We made it another week. We're off last week for the amazing holiday. How was your holiday, bro?
It was incredible. I was partly responsible for cooking a meal for 20 people, including 2 children. Yeah.
Look at you. What was on the menu?
We did my wife's cousin made a big old turkey, which was amazing. I did the
Did at any point while cooking it did y'all chant "Go Birds"?
Oh, we had plenty of opportunity to chant "Go Birds" over the weekend because they did them up right. But they did. Yeah. I myself was responsible for mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, and 1 or 2 other things. But yeah, it was great. It was a really fun time. I made a toast. I wore a blazer. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Boy, for just a little boy in a man suit, you're doing okay."
You are truly. And for those of you who don't know, this man, my co-host here, Alex Enriquez, Toastmaster Supreme. The man can toast. The man proposed to his wife via toast in one of the most baller moves I've ever seen a human being do. It was a birthday party for you that your wife had set up at Cat and the Fiddle for you. In the middle of toasting everybody for thanking them for coming, he then says, "Let's turn this birthday party into an engagement party," drops down on one knee and proposes to his wife. It was incredible.
Here's a little more backstory on this. What I actually did, despite having rehearsed the moment beforehand, I got down on my knee, opened the ring box, and didn't say anything, and just looked at her for probably, I think conservatively, it was about 3.5 hours that we were doing this while everybody, 80 people are watching. And I said, "Please say yes." And she said yes. And then later on at the bars, everybody had left. We were still at the bar. And I said, "What was the deal with kind of leaving me hanging there?" That was pretty chilling. And she said, "You never asked." And I said, "Horse apples, I didn't ask." And we looked at a video. Turns out I just hit my knee and gopped at her like some kind of koi fish waiting for his $25 handful of grain. And I didn't say anything. So I took the ring back off of her finger there at the bar, hit my knee, actually asked, and got the yes. So that's the official.
There we go.
To really put a bow on my big time baller move.
Well, because you were talking to me when you were like, "Hold on 1 second," and then you went and did it, and it was like, wow, amazing. But I had the exact opposite when I was proposing. I was like trying to talk, and she was already like, yes. Like, let me like ask first. Anyways, welcome to hour 4 of marriage talk.
Yeah, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of being married people. And so it's going to be 45 minutes of us mostly going, I don't know.
Yeah. What's your take on, laundry? Exactly. What this actually is, fan controlled fandom. This is the cape space. We are talking about all content and where people wear capes. People wear capes as superheroes. People wear capes as knights. People wear capes as space people. They don't wear a lot of capes in Japan when kaiju attacks. but we're going to be talking about a kaiju today. The
Ooh, yeah.
kaiju of all kaijus, Godzilla, and not the Apple TV show, the brand new Toho Entertainment Godzilla movie, Godzilla -1. And oh boy, this was, I cannot wait to talk about this movie. Low-key, the best movie of the year? I don't know.
It was pretty.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
We're gonna get there. Like, should be nominated for an Oscar, possibly. Anyway, but first we got to get into the quick pieces of nerd news. There's a stinger involved with it. Here it comes. Quick hits. Here we go. Quick hits.
Just got a little taste.
That's the thing. On my end, I got it that it stopped perfectly. On your end, you probably got a little bit of the second one because I got a little bit of a delay. So maybe I'll do is
we gotta start doing these. We gotta start doing our Monkey Shines live in person with each other so that we can
Should I what if I just played the guitar live? I did that that hot lick live.
Oh, dude, and go into a little tapping, like a little Eddie Van Halen tapping, like the end of Eruption there. That's that'd be pretty sweet.
If we do this thing live though together, we'd have to have some sort of mixer. Otherwise, our two microphones would be bleeding. We'd have to hold one mic and pass it back and forth between each other.
Kenny, we've been performing together for almost 20 years. I think we could handle it.
Yeah, this is true. Big news. I don't have to talk about the strike being over. The strike's still going on. It's over. Stuff is working. Stuff is happening. I have an audition for a television show that's due on Monday for a network television show. Stuff is happening, y'all. The biggest of the big news this week is that Daniel Destin Cretton left Kang Dynasty a couple weeks ago. They replaced the writer a couple weeks ago. They have now officially replaced the writer of Kang Dynasty with one Michael Waldron, aka the showrunner of season 1 of Loki, the writer of Multiverse of Madness, was already tapped to write Avengers Secret Wars. So now he is writing parts 1 and 2 of the end of the multiverse saga, which they are still calling Avengers Kang Dynasty. There's nothing in this report stating that they're going to change it to something else or anything. It's just that he is now writing whatever is happening to before Secret Wars. So yes, great, sure. Michael Waldron, guy has a good track record. Rick and Morty works, sure, yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say, to bring it back to sports, I think we're gonna look back and see the Dan Harmon coaching tree of showrunners and executive producers.
He's the Sean McVay. Yeah, the Sean McVay, the Belichick of
everybody's talking about how dead the Belichick coaching tree is. I'm talking about the Shanahan coaching tree. That's his son, every one of those, like the McDaniels is on that. Mike, not Josh. I think that's I've exhausted all my football.
That was big for you, but yeah, the Sean McVay tree was kind of ripe there for a while. Yeah, the coach of never mind. Let's move. Let's keep it pushing, baby.
Just that to say, in Waldron we trust. Give it up. And also, I was thinking about this as well. I just watched a new Rockstars video, and they were talking about some footage that's behind the scenes of the new Agatha Harkness show, which is
that was they actually released that. I think that's something that's attached to there was that was leaked footage, and then I think Marvel actually released the footage. I think it was something that's attached to the DVD, DVD, Jesus, Blu-ray, Blu-ray release of from the paperback novel adaptation of WandaVision.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, but he did remind me that this thing is now on its 3rd title, and the stuff with Jonathan Majors still has yet to shake out, quote unquote. I think from Marvel's standpoint, they can say there's been no definitive deciding court case now. I just saw a TikTok video that had surveillance that seems to counter some of the claim. I don't know what happens when they
TikTok,
what happens when they
renowned for truth.
Well, I mean, look, it's from China, and so is my favorite kind of food. What am I supposed to do?
This is true.
But I think the minute that they changed the Kang Dynasty, stories have to be contextualized in the news, and they say Marvel does this, of course, on the heels of embattled star Jonathan Majors, who's facing allegations. Meantime, they can do all the work they might need to do to make that change in the background
Sure,
without having to
absolutely.
dredge up all the accusations and stuff.
That's
So
a
I
good
don't think
point.
it's off the table that this will ultimately change.
Oh, I think it's 100% changing. But I think that's a very good point you bring up about that. It's just we're calling it Kang Dynasty because we don't want to have that conversation right now. And it's still like I think a lot of this stuff is going to get pushed. I think Secret Wars and Kang are going to get pushed a full year, as they should. I think we need to I think the big takeaway now is to kind of let some of this stuff breathe a little bit. Something that Edgar Wright even said in an interview this week, that he wanted to let some of this stuff breathe a little. So,
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. The thing about, I think of probably that same video we were watching, Eric Voss talking about this news. The thing about bringing Michael Waldron on is, if you think about Multiverse of Madness, first of all, I think that's what, by doing that, whatever comes out of, whatever the multiversal talk out of Multiverse of Madness, whatever the logic from that and from Loki, that's probably what's going to be how this is going to all track together, incursions, all the other stuff that was happening in other multiversal things that have happened since this has started. Some of that might not make its way into this, but incursions and the TVA and what Loki is, Loki holding all the threads, that stuff is probably all going to be there. Probably Loki, I'm sure they probably have to get that back up that truck and get Hiddleston to come back. I'm sure that's for sure happening. And but the thing that they were pointed out, that Eric pointed out, was that in Multiverse of Madness, that was when they brought in all these cool characters from other universes and then immediately murdered them, and it brutally murdered them. That was
Right.
the thing that is so, I think with Sam Raimi is potentially rumored to direct. They might bring him in to direct Secret Wars, which would be fucking wild, pardon my French. But the fact that that was one of the main things in that movie, where they let Raimi kind of be Raimi, which was brutally kill these people. I feel like they're going to use this as a way to kill off the whole Fox universe, anything that wasn't working. They might do some beta testing and find out oh, here's the characters that we introduced in phase 4, 5, and 6 that you don't like, and guess what? We chopped them all off. You might see a lot of the Eternals go away. You might see a Moon Knight go away. You might have to pay a bunch of money to get Oscar Isaacs to come into set and just murdered. But hey, they got John Krasinski to come down to the green screen and stand in front of it for half a day. Why not?
I can't wait until everybody's sitting in there in the theater at midnight and they get to watch Moon Knight get his head popped by Hulk's butt cheeks or something.
I love look. I hope none of it goes away. Personally, a lot of the things, with the exception of Secret Invasion, with the exception of Drax's baby arm, a lot of the new characters introduced, I'm kind of I like. I like Moon Knight. I love, I'm a full-blown Eternals apologist. I think Eternals is a good movie.
Well, and I've said this about the Marvels. What most excited me about it as a kind of a test of a certain approach is, in comic books you have single character stories, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, these storylines that follow that one single character. You have your teams, big teams like Justice League, Avengers, that tell bigger stories. And then periodically there will be these, every year, there's these massive crossovers that would be the equivalent of your Infinity War or Justice League, Dawn of Justice or whatever. But there are also these smaller books. I've brought up Brave and the Bold, World's Finest, that are about smaller team ups of more unique pairings of characters. And so I thought that the Marvels was positing that sort of approach from the comic books. I was looking forward to these smaller, more interesting team ups, and I hope they don't completely abandon that, because I think it worked for Thor and Hulk, in Ragnarok, and it works for the Cap, Falcon, Bucky trio in Civil War. So I hope they don't throw it away, basically.
I don't think they will. I mean, sorry, I'm queuing up the next story, trying to find. I wanted to get the picture of the specific picture because you mentioned the Marvels, and one of the things that we loved that movie. We thought it was a lot of fun. And one of the characters we loved in that movie the most was, Iman Vellani. We thought she was just absolutely wonderful in the film. And in an interview this week, she was asked specifically about Marvel Zombies. So they announced that Marvel Zombies was going to be a show, an animated show based off kind of the What If episode. This just does not want to load. And this is not the picture I even wanted. Oh, fun. I'll find it. She in an interview this week basically said that, oh, here we go. This is what I want. Thank you very much.
This is all staying in. This is
all we can't cut it. It's live. She reveals that not only does she reprise the role of Ms. Marvel in the Marvel Zombies, but her character is kind of the center of the show. She said in an interview, we've done the whole thing. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And there are a lot of cool characters in the Marvel Zombie show. And Kamala is kind of the center of the show. They described it to me. It's like she's basically the Frodo of the story. And I was like, that's amazing. And I get to interact and meet all these people along her journey. And yes, they're only the voices. And I don't get to hear the voices in real time, but just it's my fantasies, right? Like knowing Kamala is going to interact with some really cool people, even if it's just animation, is just so special in a lot of ways. Some of the people they have announced as the main characters of the show based on when they first announced it, Ms. Marvel, Yelena Belova, Kate Bishop, Jimmy Woo, which is like, bring Randall Park in. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Shang-Chi, Death Dealer, Red Guardian, and Katie Chen. So Death Dealer is also from Shang-Chi. Katie Chen is from Shang-Chi. And then we got Red Guardian, David Harbour from Black Widow. They will all join together to fight off the undead in the skies, while zombified versions of Hawkeye, Abomination, Ghost, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Okoye, and Icarus will also appear. I mean, this show already is like, hell yes. But like the fact that they're going to center it around somebody who we've said is totally captivating and electric is awesome. Yes.
I'm really excited for season 2 of What If. It really, it is a bright spot in this big swing era of Marvel. Whatever else you can say about the Marvels and how much stuff we've gotten and its quality, I'll have to bring up again that we used to have to wait like 25 years for a bunch of suits to work out the rights to Spider-Man to get anything.
They're still working that out.
But the idea that we now have this, like, I'd rather have a flood than a drought.
Yeah, for guys like us, people like us,
for dudes like us guys, you don't know what it's like to,
Anyway, a lot of this stuff, if you're fans of it, like getting more of it is great. But yeah, the Marvel Zombies episode of What If was fantastic. And if you're going to fold any of those out into its own show, that's definitely the one. That run of comics, this is not going to be my Hoopla recommendation, but that run of comics is available on Hoopla. The Robert Kirkman Marvel Zombies run. It's fantastic. It's worth a read. Even if you're not a big comic book person, it's just awesome. Like the zombies become like they become powerful zombies. At some point they eat Galactus and become like even more powerful, eat basically all the humans on Earth, and then leave Earth at some point to take on, and they become like kind of planet devourers. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. T'Challa is survived his they cut off his leg to feed to Janet to keep her alive, to keep her from not fully turning, and so her brain would stay intact. I mean, it's just an incredible run. Then Janet and T'Challa fall in love. It's just, wow. It's an incredible run of comics. It's amazing.
The idea too that in the MCU, the What If, it's this kind of pendulum swing. We've seen that they can use it as a test bed for stuff that they, established continuity and IP that they now don't have to be precious with at all. But then if it proves popular enough, they can figure out a way to feed it back into the mainline continuity or at least live action film, which is like the the main
Captain
point of
Carter.
everything with your Captain Carter, which also like, hey, is there a chance that maybe we see an X-Men 97 sort of incursion or whatever into what if space?
That's supposed
Dude.
to be coming too. It's supposed to be getting that on Disney Plus. I mean, we'll be
Yeah, it's
talking about
coming.
it
Yeah.
later in this month. They're going to do the what if drop. It's going to be a 9-episode drop over 9 days. Every day from like starting like December 18th through the end of the year, there's going to be a new episode of What If. So we're going to be, I don't know, broadcasting every day. I don't know. Why not?
I think we should broadcast 24 hours a day for the entire duration of the release run of the What If season 2. It would be an unprecedented achievement in broadcast history. I don't think anybody from
heard it here
traditional
first.
terrestrial, anybody has attempted it, and it would be the crowning glory of the fan-controlled sports network.
Absolutely. Another crowning glory coming up. Speaking of team up, speaking of Marvel, whether, thing is about the Marvel train is it's already in motion. So if people are doing this, they can always slow the train down, but you can't stop it. And one of the things they've announced, of course, is the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts will bring together Yelena Belova again, Red Guardian again. Hannah John came in. I'm assuming that's Ghost. Sebastian Stan, Olga Kurylenko, who is Taskmaster, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Harrison Ford taking over, which is still like chef's effing kiss, baby.
Yeah, man.
In an interview, Wyatt Russell, who of course played Trump's campaign manager, John Walker.
Yeah, he played QAnon shaman Captain America, John Walker.
John Walker. He is currently starring in the Monarch Legacy of Monsters, a show we will probably start talking about after watching this Godzilla movie. He was interviewed. He said to talk about the Thunderbolts. They haven't started production yet, which got delayed several times due to the strikes. But he says, I have confidence it's going to be good. I know everybody is sort of on this Marvel train right now of things not going well. But he says, I know the director so well, and I know how smart Jake is and how much he cares about making something interesting and different and utilizing everyone's talents to the best of their ability. And the story that I think they've come up with is really interesting. I know parts of the story and how the story works. I can't talk about it, but it's not a straightforward Marvel movie as you've seen in the past. So that's the headline there. I don't know what that means. He just says, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be something that hopefully Marvel fans will look at and go, okay, this is a little different. Let's go hard at it. So I'm like, okay, sure. Let's do it.
It's not like one of these mainstream Marvel movies. It's not like Iron Man or the Avengers or like Jurassic World Dominion. It's going to be completely different than those movies.
At some point, I don't know how you do it different, quote unquote, but the thing that is different is the Thunderbolts is basically, they are kind of like Marvel's Suicide Squad. I mean, they're not like literally going off to like die, but they are like, they're not your heroes. This isn't Cap. This isn't, Falcon. These are people who operate in the gray areas of the universe. So that's why it might be different.
I think in the original conception too, like in the comic books, the Thunderbolts were a team of supervillains, like outright supervillains who were given new names and outfits and were posing as superheroes.
I love that. Let's see that movie.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think I remember at the time it being like a really well-received comic book because of that sort of twisty idea. Like Norman Osborn or whatever, the Green Goblin. He was the leader of their group, and he was Iron Patriot. Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it's such a cool like. And of course, they come into conflict with the actual mainline superheroes. So I thought that was a really interesting.
If that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm all for, and we talked about this a lot on the Marvels podcast. I'm all for big swings at this point. Like, big swings. Like, I think the thing that people get a little hung up about is when the stuff is really predictable and like really. I mean, we keep going back to this but it's very much like, the Secret Invasion is very much like gave us like what the standard Marvel ending is, which is like, and the Marvels had it too, to an extent, but it didn't really have the big, like, animated Guga fighting animated Guga. And that's what we're building to is just Guga fighting. And there was, but I think anything that is like, a swing away from that, and if Thunderbolts is going to try something, maybe it's like the Dirty Dozen, who knows? Like, I mean, there's something always really fun about characters who aren't like, the white capped, the it's unclear how they go. Like it's on there. There's moral ambiguity is always more interesting in a character, whether it's a villain or a good guy. It's always fun. And so, yeah, let's do it. I mean, David Harbour as Red Guardian, that's enough for my money. Sure.
Delicious, delightful, lovely.
Delicious. One more thing before we get out of here, before we leave. So this is it. And then
Bye.
Before we finish the quick hits, a quick, brisk 25-minute quick hits. Alex, I'm going to cut this other thing because who cares? I know the Alien movies, do these hit scary for you, or have you seen them?
I've watched all of them. They also hit scary for me. I definitely, I don't want to see one in a movie theater first time.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these films. The original trilogy is, fantastic stuff. The second trilogy stuff, hit or miss. and like Alien Resurrection, when we're getting Sigourney Weaver back again somehow, and she's playing basketball against Winona Ryder. That was a choice that we did, but we're apparently moving forward because this is where you're an IP central. There is a new movie coming from Fede Alvarez, but there's also a TV show coming from Noah Hawley, who did Fargo for FX, and they announced that Timothy Olyphant, an FX regular from the Justified and the Justified Primeval, is set to be the lead of this film. He of Cobb Vanth fame. I don't care. You put Timothy Olyphant in something, I'm watching it. Bang.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to tune in. Oh my gosh, that's a power line. Noah Hawley, I'm actually maybe not, because he is really, really good at sort of deep, slow psychological stuff, and so his lens being turned on that super pervert HR Giger's sort of mind world.
That. Super pervert HR Giger, for sure.
You look at those drawings, you're like, this dude gets up to some real spanky stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when you go beyond the alien drawings, it's mostly penises.
Even the alien drawings, you're like, that thing's got a penis for a head. You can't tell me different.
Yep. And opens his mouth, and another penis comes out.
HR Giger, hey, Freud's calling on a penis-shaped phone, dude.
Yeah, seriously. I love you called him super pervert. Go ahead, continue. Sorry.
That's just it now. Giger's a super pervert.
Yeah.
I think you either get to be German or draw that stuff. I think you really should only pick one of those things. And if you're German,
pick a lane.
You shouldn't be drawing that stuff.
Pick a lane, bro. But I Timothy Olyphant, I love that. Basically, I was a big fan of his before the Justified, and I've had to watch a lot of Justified for my job. I mean, that character, he's Raylan Vance. He's fantastic. I mean, it's just very much a great place to be operating. It's basically the character he plays in The Mandalorian. Cobb Vanth is basically the same character.
Is he Raylan Givens?
Thank you. Did I say Vance?
Thanks. Yeah.
Raylan Givens. Thank you. I don't know who Raylan Vance is. Not even a person.
I think he shows up in Justified season 5 wearing a Boba Fett helmet. Like you keep hearing whispers from off camera. Hey, take that off.
Raylan Givens, thank you. But yeah, that's who Cobb Vanth is. And then they brought him back and put him in Detroit for Justified City Primeval. I'm like, that works too. Or a lot of people didn't like that show because it wasn't the same thing. He wasn't in Kentucky, but I don't care, man. You got Timothy Olyphant walking around in a cowboy hat. Done.
Watch a little movie called Go, you Philistines.
Oh, Domination. What an unbelievable, that movie too. Early, what's his face? The director, Doug Liman. Really Doug Liman stuff. Fantastic.
I think that was the follow-up to Swingers.
Jay Moore and Scott Wolf in that movie. Holy moly.
Fantastic.
Talk about a man. Look, do a Google image search of Jay Moore and watch your head explode what the man looks like now. Married to Jeannie Buss, owner of the Lakers. True story.
I don't know how a man melts in reverse and it's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the only thing I can look at his trajectory. It's like somebody reverse melting.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Great. We did it. Quick hits. We did it. A quick brisk 30 minutes. Before we get to Godzilla -1, we're on this fan-controlled sports entertainment Twitch stream, the YouTube stream. We're currently on Twitter right now, or X, whatever you have to call that thing now. We are streaming live on the Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment feed, we give one piece of sports news. We take a break from the Cape space and we give one piece of sports news. Alex normally takes us out to the racetrack. Is that where we're going? Open wheel racing?
We're right back into the paddock to say goodbye to another great season of Formula One racing as the 2023 Grand Prix season came to a conclusion last weekend with the running of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which was, of course, won by now 3-time world champion Max Verstappen. We have some ways to go before the season restarts in March as we really start the silly season in earnest, but rumblings around the Red Bull team, the dominant Red Bull team, seem to suggest that if number 2 driver Sergio Checo Perez doesn't perform well enough early on in the 24 season in what people assume will be a dominating Red Bull car, he will be replaced with Daniel Ricciardo, which will bring Liam Hewitt, reserve driver, up into the second seat at AlphaTauri. Back to you, Kenny.
I love it. AlphaTauri might have been Alpha Centauri from the movie The Last Starfighter. Fine by me. I have no idea what you said.
It's all crypto to me, baby.
Yeah, it's all on the blockchain. I am gonna. I am a fan of all the alternative football leagues. The Montreal Alouettes upset the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to win the Grey Cup, but I'm talking about the 2 major spring leagues here in America. The USFL and the XFL have already announced that they had plans to merge. The people in the U.S. government that have to approve mergers and things like that, they approved that merger. So it seems like that is happening. The rumor is the merged league is going to start playing in March of this coming year, 2024. So we're talking like 4 months away. And the league is potentially going to be called the UFL. Not the XFL, not the USFL, the UFL. We don't know which teams are going to be playing. I would assume probably St. Louis because they drew like 55,000 people. You need them, that fan base. So that's going to be coming down the pipe right after, a month after the end of the NFL. Look for the UFL. I don't know how much involved Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's going to be, but we'll have to find out.
I think if this thing's gonna have any chance of surviving, you're gonna need a heavy hand and a little bit of magic that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tends to bring to proceedings. Not to mention Danny Garcia, his ex-wife, I believe.
Ex-wife, current manager. Yep.
Good for them. That
Good
all
for them.
seems good. I like it. Good.
If there's one thing The Rock does, he can change the balance of any sort of universe.
He comes in
the balance of power.
He changes the balance of power, and no matter how many times it doesn't work out great, they'll keep letting him do it.
Very true. Very true. We did it. All right. Before we get that, we got geez, how could I possibly forget? Talk about somebody who changes the power. Someone who changes the balance of power in the world of advertising is, of course, our own Alex Enriquez, constantly finding amazing corporate sponsorship, corporate underwriting for the show. Alex, who's our sponsor for the show this week?
Well, our corporate underwriters for this week's episode, it's Uncle Santa Rick Caruso, and he's presenting Christmas at the Grove. And so over the ad breaks in the show, I'm going to be introducing some of the new attractions and experiences that they have for the holiday season at the Grove.
Okay.
So number one, right off the bat, they have the Travel Recovery Center. You're probably going to be pretty tired after your 2-day trip into the Grove through traffic. We have a tent with water, food, cots, and those weird metal blankets so that you can regain your holiday spirit before you shop. Also,
those weird metal blankets.
Yeah, they look like a Mylar balloon.
Yeah,
and you have to wear them and like huddle and drink something hot. The tree this year is a 40-foot tall Douglas fir that was sustainably sourced from the Pacific Northwest. We will be destroying it in an insurance fire. And this year, for the first time, we've got Uncle Santa Rick's Holiday Petting Zoo. It's behind Dupar's by the dumpsters. You've heard of reindeer? Well, we've got rain dogs and rain cats, which are the snappiest of Santa's North Pole friends. A special prize goes to the little elf that brings Uncle Santa Rick the most rain rats. That's some of the holiday fun you have to look forward to at the Grove this year.
I love that. If somebody from his company is listening, and because we obviously one of many fans of the show, they might actually do some of those things.
I think so. I think he's got a dedicated team of rat catchers.
Yeah, very, very, very true. All right, speaking of somebody who makes animals come up to the surface,
Speaking of great transitions, here's Kenny
Yeah,
Stevens.
baby.
Ladies
We
and
are
gentlemen,
talking
the Donut
about
King.
the brand new Godzilla -1. This is a film that is not part of the Monarch show on Apple TV. It is not technically part of the MonsterVerse, the Kong Island, the Godzilla versus Kong, the Godzilla King of the Monsters. This is
It's
Toho,
the Sony universe of Marvel Kong
Godzilla
monsters
characters
of Ga'Hoole.
But no, this is Toho, the original. They've made like 20 of the 37 Godzilla movies. This is their new entry. They have to wait. I was doing this video. They have to wait. They can't. Legendary Pictures has the US right. They can't release a Godzilla movie the same year, so they have to stagger them. But this is their entry. And we saw this movie. It's called Godzilla -1. It's opening wide across America. It was just opened in Japan like a month ago. I'm going to do a quick recap of the script of the story, which seems like it's not going to be as long because it's a newer film. So strap in. Here we go. 1945, at the end of World War II, Kochi. I'm going to kill these names. I'm sorry.
Actually, you know what? While you're doing the summary, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Sorry.
Do it. All right. Kochi Shikishima, a kamikaze pilot, feigns technical issues with his plane and lands on Odo Island. A dinosaur-like creature, or kaiju, Godzilla, appears during the night and attacks the island, killing everybody except Kochi and the lead mechanic, Soasaku Tashibana, who blames Kochi for the deaths of the others. 2 years later, after the war, following his return to Tokyo, Kochi is plagued by survivor's guilt. He has started a relationship with Noriko Oishi, and they have adopted a child whose parents were lost in the bombing of Tokyo. Godzilla is mutated and enlarged by the U.S. nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll, and it destroys several U.S. warships before heading to Japan. The U.S. refuses to aid Japan owing to tensions with the Soviet Union. Working aboard a minesweeper called the Shinshi Maru, Kochi meets scientist Kenji Noda. The minesweeper crew are tasked with stopping Godzilla's approach to Japan. They release a mine into Godzilla's mouth and detonate it, but Godzilla regenerates from its injury. The heavy cruiser Takao then arrives and engages Godzilla, but is subsequently destroyed when it unleashes its atomic breath. Kochi tells Noriko about Godzilla's attack, expressing his survivor's guilt to her. Godzilla makes landfall, attacking Ginza in Tokyo. Noriko witnesses the attack while Kochi attempts to rescue her. Meanwhile, the Japanese military attempt to engage Godzilla, but it fires its atomic breath, decimating Tokyo and seemingly killing Noriko, among thousands of others. When Godzilla returns to the ocean, Kenji comes up with a plan to kill Godzilla, although the government refuses to help, leaving it up to the remaining civilians and naval veterans to enact it. Kochi recruits a reluctant Sosaku to repair a broken-down prototype Kyushu J7W Shinden fighter, which Kochi will fly into Godzilla's mouth and destroy it from the inside, basically a kamikaze mission. Meanwhile, Kenji plots to destroy Godzilla by surrounding him with Freon tanks and rupturing them, lowering the water's buoyancy and sinking it to a depth of 1,500 meters, letting the resultant pressure crush it. Should that plan fail, balloons would inflate under Godzilla to force it back up to the surface, killing it through explosive decompression. Godzilla is dragged down to 1,500 meters, but manages to survive. The balloons are activated, forcing Godzilla up to 800 meters, but it manages to break free. Two ships try to haul Godzilla to the surface, but don't have enough power to do so. A fleet of tugboats lend their assistance, and Godzilla is brought to the surface, injuring but not killing it. Enraged, Godzilla prepares to destroy all the ships with its atomic breath. Kochi flies the plane into Godzilla's mouth, destroying its head and overloading its atomic breath, which destroys the rest of its body. The crew assumes Kochi sacrificed himself to stop Godzilla's atomic breath, but look above to find that he has survived. They cheer and salute him, knowing he ejected from the plane. Back at the port, Kochi receives a telegram and heads to the hospital with Akiko, where he reunites with Noriko, who survived the destruction, albeit with what appears to be radiation sickness. Meanwhile, a chunk of Godzilla's remaining flesh sinks to the bottom of the ocean and begins to regenerate. Holy cow, we did it. Alex, what'd you think of this movie? You're muted. Can't hear you. There we go. What'd you think of the movie?
Oh, I loved it. I had such a good time. It was, if you compare this to, you brought up Legendary, you compare this to like the last Godzilla offering we got from them, which was, I think, Godzilla versus Kong. That movie was that was the Drax baby arm of Kong movies. And it was like their second shot at it or something. This movie was, not that I was running a comparison in my head the whole time. It just kind of struck me that this was so stripped down, so simple, so well crafted and thought out for a monster movie. It's got everything you would want from a Godzilla movie including some heavy duty political allegory, which is
Holy
great,
moly.
which is baked into
Huge.
science fiction, which is baked into genre fiction, monster stuff. From the beginning of Godzilla, he's an allegory. And I just so appreciated their approach. From a filmmaking standpoint, something that struck me, and I don't think this is in the show notes, but I think that I have to go back and really track this, but it felt to me like for the vast majority of the movie, the framing of everything was so tight and small and contained. And even when you would see Godzilla, it would sort of be in these cramped, contained, you'd see a foot or he'd be bent over or something, that by the time you get the full glory shot of a full-sized upright Godzilla, it is extremely impactful. And the suspense is there. And I wasn't ready to be so taken with this movie because I was like, yeah, we're gonna watch it for the show. Not something I would normally go seek out on my own. But I wound up being very taken with this Godzilla movie. It was just so well done.
This movie is fantastic. Like they're just like we've seen like good movies on the show. We've talked about it. This is like a film. This movie is currently at 90. Godzilla in general is a metaphor for nuclear weapons. Yes, exactly. But the allegories in this movie go a little bit further. We're going to talk about that in a second. But just like this movie is at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, which was a shock to me. I was like, I pitched it to Alex, like, because he wanted to maybe talk. You wanted to talk about doing the Monarch, and I was like, oh, I'm not caught up on the stuff. And then I saw that I had heard that this movie was doing well in Japan, and then it was coming out. I'm like, well, let's just do this because it's coming out. And it's like a traditional Godzilla movie. But then I started reading the reviews, and they were like, oh no, it's got tons of heart. It's got like the storylines fun. And then you go and watch it, and you're like, there's like a solid half hour of this movie, maybe even 40 minutes, where there is just no Godzilla at all. And it is unbelievably compelling, totally interesting, like well shot, well directed. The acting is incredible. You could almost take Godzilla out of the movie and it would still work. This movie is just a very, very good film, period. Like in every facet of storytelling, and you are just absolutely sucked in and to this plot of just these people who have lost everything and find each other after the world war, the war
Right.
to end all wars. These three people who have no blood tie to each other find each other and make a family and make a home, literally, and do all these things, but still have huge walls that have been left up because of all the things, like the fact that the man is a kamikaze pilot, but can't make himself do the thing and is given shame for that. Shame that he wouldn't literally murder himself for what, for the cause is.
Yeah.
And then have so much guilt over that for something that is like wanting to live is like a basic human thing. Like, this movie is like, and then on top of all of that, on top of these incredible war allegories, amazing characters, depth of character, there's also Godzilla stomping around Japan, set to like bum, 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 the same like Godzilla stuff. And all that stuff works. All that stuff, because you have these invested characters, all this other normal Godzilla stuff has about the weight on it is so much more.
It really is. They really just kind of cracked a code, and it felt to me like they had just gone back and done like the first Godzilla movie just with modern effects. It is about the human scale, and it isn't about finding psychic twins to find a giant bug to fight the giant lizard. There's a depth to it that I didn't expect, and I don't know. It doesn't feel to me like that was what they were going for. They were just trying to make the most impactful monster movie they could, it seems to me. Now, I don't know anything about the writing process or the creative process that
I did a little bit of background research. So Toho rebooted the character in 2016, and in that film, which I believe is called Shinjin Godzilla, they did kind of go for a more like grounded approach to the storytelling. And then this director of this film had directed some a kind of like successful thriller. What was it called here? Sorry. They reached out to this director who had not made like a big budget. It's kind of like how Marvel does. You reach out to Daniel Destin Cretton to have him direct Shang-Chi, and he's never made a movie like the same. And he brought that like kind of intimate filmmaking to this broad story. And that's the thing I thought was so wild about this movie is not less than 20 years ago, Toho was still making Godzilla movies where it's like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and Japan has created a kind of like robot Godzilla to fight Godzilla, and both Mechagodzilla and Godzilla are just a guy in a suit like fighting each other on a set. Like, and that was less than 20 years they were doing that. And now this is where they are now, to see how far it's come and how the choices that they made with this film was just like, it was just unbelievable. This movie was absolutely jaw-dropping at points. It was so good.
It had no right to be as good as it is.
Yeah, that's a great point. It had no right to be as good as it is. Like the 37th Godzilla movie to be this good.
I mean, that it didn't, and frankly, it didn't need to be, because I was going to see it kind of ironically.
Oh, but yes.
It was good. It was good. And it was like, oh, I've been to a lot of movies in a theater because of the show, more so than I had before. And this is one of the few where I was like, I'm really glad I saw this in a theater. It was,
oh my God,
heart pounding. I was by myself, and it was like, it's hard for me to lose myself in a movie. I'm a professional broadcaster.
Yeah, I know.
A journalist, if you will, a cultural historian. Yep. My wife has called me when I've asked her to, and so it's easy for me to see the wires, and so it's hard to get lost in things. But I was genuinely taken with this. But I actually had a question that's been bothering me since I got home.
Hit it.
So everybody in the movie is speaking Japanese, right?
Yep.
How come the words are in English?
What do you mean?
Like they're speaking Japanese. The actors.
You think it should just be the Japanese characters at the bottom instead of actually like English?
I just don't know how they get English up on the screen from all that. It's another wonder of how they kind of got this whole thing together.
That's one of the great things is traditionally the Godzilla movies are just in Japanese and you don't have any sort of translation. They don't dub them or anything like that. It is, you just have to kind of guess what's happening. But now they put the translation there, which was very nice of them to do so.
What I especially appreciated were times when the characters would say the subtitle would include a word that was in Japanese that you would not hear the character say. So I was like, oh, I wonder what that's about. Like he says kamikaze roughly 48 times in the film. In the subtitles, never comes out of his mouth.
Yeah. This is what I love when people come into the chat. Like this guy Cheater Pog just got in here. He just says, "What is this?"
Google it.
We
don't got time. It's Godzilla.
We're trying to figure this out ourselves, baby. This is Fan Controlled Fandom. This is two guys on the Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment Network talking about dork stuff. And this week we're talking about Godzilla. But why does Godzilla still give me 93 Mario movie Goomba vibes?
I'm not going to contest that. And it's especially bad in this movie because they went for like they kind of tried to make the computer figure look man in suit a little bit.
Well, that's what I want to talk about too.
So, because he moves real man in suit like the eyes don't move a lot, the arms don't move a whole bunch.
No, that was something that I actually genuinely appreciated.
Same
was the fact that a lot of times in different iterations of Godzilla, like I think of the '96 Roland Emmerich version that was made by Sony Pictures, so great film, but one of the criticisms. What just happened? Oh, I see what. Jess just threw up.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
you're
that's
not
100%. You are 100% right. You are 100% right.
You're not wrong. That's incredible.
Oh my good Lord in heaven.
Yes, that's amazing.
Where have you been our whole show? Come on, we're bringing
following along.
Kenny, put her on the payroll. This is the new number. We needed a third, and here it is.
I think she's already on the payroll. The fact that they kept this kind of, I was gonna say, with the 96 Godzilla, and they did a good job, I think, with the more recent versions. But they always try to make it like, let's update it. Let's it's not a person in a suit. Let's make it more like an actual dinosaur. This movie's like, no, Godzilla walks like this. Godzilla moves its arms like this, whether because it was a person in a suit who could barely move and was probably being tortured by being in there for like 12 to 16 hours a day and not being allowed to come out and breathe. I'm sure several people have died in Godzilla suits over the years.
Oh yeah, they're on their 49th Godzilla performer, and they never take him out of the suit. The suit just breaks the performer down on a molecular level.
They have to sleep in it.
Actually, just to say something to Freddie Airmail here, a little bit ago, talking about they made an action movie where the CGI isn't meant to carry it in 2023. Like, yeah, I think science fiction and genre fiction generally used to push so hard into metaphor because the effects couldn't carry. So yeah, it was okay that Godzilla was moving a lot, pretty stockily or whatever, because Godzilla is meant to represent a force, meant to represent nuclear war and nuclear holocaust, basically. But the better you get with effects, the less you have to have metaphor. The more you just, let's make his eyes twinkle more. Let's give him more spikes. But
yeah, let's make those spikes glow.
You get further away from allegory, which was like the underpinning of all this stuff from the beginning.
Which they hit. Sometimes this film hits really hard, like when he fires his atomic breath and it literally delivers a mushroom cloud. That is that when you're talking about 1940s Japan, which had suffered several atomic bomb droppings, to have that be so prevalent. And some of the most, like, there's that one shot, it's like the camera's low and it's looking up on Godzilla and there's a huge mushroom cloud behind him. I mean, it's hitting it on the head real hard, but also extremely impactful, well, like done, crafted shot. So there's like that really hard stuff, but then also there's a ton, like this is most Godzilla movies are anti-war movies. This is a very anti-war film. Like this movie is about like the fact that it's not the military that has to take Godzilla down. They literally say the government's not going to help us. So we have to figure out how to take him down ourselves. Like that to me is what is super fascinating about any World War II story, is not necessarily the war, the Guga, or like the interactions of what happened. All of that stuff is, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. But the interesting things and what makes good drama is how the other people are affected after the fact. I mean, the fact that this man couldn't bring himself to kill himself for his country because probably, they never say it, but probably didn't believe in enough to do it, And the fact that that's kind of subtly said throughout the movie is that, like, well, we may have been wrong in attacking the United States is never said, but it's kind of implied throughout.
I think it's a very interesting, aftermath is always where the human cost is told. And I think, what you're looking for is, tell us what happened after they shaved Ryan's privates,
Yep. That's what I want. We never got a sequel to that movie. We never got a sequel to Shaving Ryan's Privates. And, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
No,
I also, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
There was something about it to me that, like, I have not seen a lot of media that takes place in the immediate post-war period of Japan. And that was fascinating to me, the limited scope we got of it, but also because this is a demilitarized nation and these people explicitly say that the government can't help them. I was trying to think toward the end of the movie. I was like, well, if original Godzilla is articulating a fear and a worry that the world has about nuclear war, and especially the Japanese people, because they're the first to suffer from it, we don't really have that as much of a concern anymore. What would be the pressing concern that is being articulated here? And then I started to kind of connect dots that Godzilla in this movie is climate change, and that it's going to be people getting together, getting novel, and going like, they have the conversation with the guy about this idea he has, and people go, "What if it doesn't work?" And the argument to that is, we don't know if it'll work, but we have to do something, and
we have to try. Yeah.
that's what we have to do here, because there's far too many people in positions of power who have interests outside of our progress as a species, and or equate that process with something completely they equate that progress with something completely different. um and I think that I got really complicated at the end, thinking about how this is like, these are a people with a proud but complicated history that are acknowledging
Absolutely.
it. And I'm not saying that that's exclusive to them, of course. And as an American, very complicated history here, but
Yes, especially with the Japanese people.
pulling the positive from a complicated history to inform a better tomorrow. And the thing that they say about, like, that last war was all about death, this one is going to be about life, I thought was such a beautiful, perfect
This
message.
movie, this guy, y'all, this movie is so freaking good.
It's good.
Also,
it's really good.
It's also, you can even take it on like a character level. And there was a point, if there was a point in this movie when like the main character like woke up from a dream or something, or like basically like Godzilla was like a Tyler Durden type of deal, where like this literal no, I'm not kidding. Like what I'm saying is like this monster is a literal manifestation of the guilt that I have for, like, because they reference like my war is not over. That said a lot in this movie. That's the main reason why the two leads cannot, who are literally raising a child together, yet somehow cannot connect as humans on a romantic level, even though they are both fully interested in the other one. But they both have huge barriers that have been put there because of the trauma that they've been through. And so that Godzilla is almost like a manifestation of that trauma that is, that if you do not address, if you do not face, literally take a plane and fly into the mouth of, it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to destroy not just you but others. Like this movie it works on so many flipping levels, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. The main character's journey from the objector to you get why he doesn't want to kill himself. It's like, what is he dying for? And
yes, and the fact that that's in a movie, like a war movie, that's I always like that. That to me is always more fascinating than seeing people like do whatever. Like that to me, I always like to see a little bit of ambiguity.
And then he has something to die for, but he refuses because he realizes that choosing life is the honorable thing. Like that he has the opportunity, he can close that circle for himself, but there is now that he has something to die for, he has something to live for. And I think that, baking that into a monster movie,
I know it's so wild.
Yeah, it was such an experience. It was like a great movie going experience. I can't recommend it highly 100%. Enough.
I know this movie, it was so freaking good because, like, again, you get like 40 solid minutes of just, first of all, you get Godzilla in the first like 10 minutes, and it's amazing. Like it's some of the best Godzilla. It's like Godzilla attacking like 9 people, and it's just like picking them up and throwing them with its mouth, and it's great. It's really, really like monster Godzilla stuff. And then you do not see him again for quite some time, to the point where you're almost like, is that the same guy? There was a couple of times we're following the protagonist, and was like, was that the same guy? Because he's not like, he doesn't seem traumatized by Godzilla at all, because we haven't seen Godzilla.
Right.
But then you realize it is after a while. Like, of course it is. That's why we'd be following this person. But it's like, that's how much Godzilla is not in the like first act and well into the second act of this movie.
And it's but right about the moment I was like, geez, there's not a lot of Godzilla in this Godzilla movie. I think an air raid siren went off or something. Like, oh geez. And then you almost kind of need a break from Godzilla for the rest of the film, because it really does, for it pulls out all the stops. There's suspense, there's big grandiose vistas, there's it's got all that big stuff phobia that you can sometimes have. I mean, like him destroying a building and you watching the people on the roof of it pitch over in perspective is, this movie just works. It's a great movie. Go see it in a movie theater. To the millions watching. Go see it in a movie theater.
Exactly. Freddie Airmail says trauma allegories in the 2020s. Name a more iconic duo. You can't. That's the number one for sure. Destroying the world is my phobia. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
No, there's a sequence involving like a train, Godzilla and a train, and someone hanging out of the bottom of the train. It is just like, I mean, unbelievable stuff. It's like they mix the practical stunt work with actual effects in a way that is just like there's definitely a war where they like animate everybody and it's just like, animated people flopping around. But no, they usually take the time to put real people. That's what you expect. That's what you expect from a Godzilla movie. Like there are definitely digital people running on the streets, but then there's also like real people definitely running on the streets like you see in a Godzilla movie. I only have two little things I want to draw out now that I was like, first, that I want to point out. First of all,
that there's no Godzuki, and what a missed opportunity that is.
There's no Mothra. No, I want to point out one thing real quick. Okay. There is a child in this movie, Akiko. All right.
Mhm.
This child has several moments where it cries, and not in a like, I'm an actor trying to cry. I'm just going to say this. They don't have the Screen Actors Guild over there in Japan. What did they do to this kid? This kid, before they hit action, I don't know if they got this kid to like fall in love with a doll like months prior to, and then like brought it to set, and then he immediately ripped the doll out of the kid's hands and then and then started rolling the camera. But this kid there's no way it's giving a performance. You know what I mean? Like, it is crying so hard at certain times of what things that have happened, like after the mom, quote unquote, here we go, an hour in, we've already spoiled the movie. The mom, quote unquote, the mom, who's not really a mom, the stepmom is dead. And that kid gives a cry that is like real as all hell. And I'm like, what did they do to that kid to get that performance? There's no way that actually kid could just be like, oh, this is the crying scene. Great. I'm 3. So let me just do that real quick.
There's a moment during one of those sobs that the main character, the guy playing the main character, seems a little disturbed by it. Like, he just doesn't know what to, and not the character. It's this man sitting next to this child going, what in the hell is going on?
My first thought was like, what did they do? What did they do to that kid to get that reaction?
In E.T., they're giving the paddles, the defibrillators to old E.T. right there toward the end, Peter Coyote and the boys. And there's that great shot over E.T.'s chest of every time they clear, boom, of Drew Barrymore crying, sobbing, and jolting every time they give him a shock. And that was because they never told Drew that E.T. was fake. She thought he was this real little man and thought he was dead, and that they were electrocuting him to bring him back to life.
Oh, really?
And there's behind the scenes footage of a very, very cool Steven Spielberg doing a minimal job of comforting her. Oh, there, Drew. It's okay.
Oh,
like
my
patting her on the head and like looking for anybody else. D, can you come? Can you get her? Like, yeah.
Oh my God. That is
she's crying and like
unbelievable. They did wow. So you're saying that maybe they implied that maybe this kid, the actor, and the woman who plays the mom is her actual mom.
Yeah.
And maybe they told this kid that your mom, they had that whole scene going on that your mom is dead. And that was like legit. Holy cow.
Yeah. They made a movie that looked like the mom was getting eaten by Godzilla, and then Godzilla looks into the camera and says to her, "I'm your mom now." And that was just horrifying to her.
Look at me. I'm the mommy now.
Yeah. Oscar Gold.
Oh my God. Yeah, that kid definitely has some sort of PTSD from that scene. There's just no way. Whatever they did to that kid to get that performance, kudos. My only other thing is that I will say is, and again, if you don't want to see the movie, if you want to see the movie and you don't want to hear what happens at the very, very end, which we've kind of already said, but we're going to really dive into it for a second right now. Tune away for 5 minutes and then come on back. There is not a world where that woman survives that blast. There just isn't. When he gets the telegram and she's still alive and he goes to see her after what they showed happening to her, there's just no way. There's no effing way.
Right.
She is still alive. None.
Right.
Literally
This woman was obliterated.
Yes, blown off the ground, like feet off the ground, being blown backwards. There's just, first of all, there really isn't a world where he survives. Like the fact that she just like pushed him behind a building and that's how he survived the nuclear blast is kind of wild in and of itself. I'll let it slip. But the fact that she somehow has like minor wounds, by the way, like just has like an arm in a sling and like a little thing on the head and like that. I mean, granted, she'd leaned forward and they showed some radiation poisoning happening on her neck. But like, I mean, if she's alive at all, it's got to be one of those full body things. Like, you know, everything is in a little like harness and you can't move. And they had to like completely regenerate her entire skeletal system.
Yeah, that letter should have said, "Good news, we found what's left of her.
We found the puddle of her. Well,
Yeah.
you want to come? Only reason we can know it's her because of the teeth.
There was a bone in a shoe. We're pretty sure it's her."
I mean, it's what I mean, that when that happened at the end, like
Yeah.
from a like person who was fully invested in this movie, like, did I cry a little? Yeah, absolutely. But
Right.
at the same time, I was like, oh no way. She lived through that. Not a chance. Because I also thought too, like, wow, what a compelling storytelling device. Because I knew the movie still had like 45. I knew we weren't like towards the end. I knew we had like another 40 plus minutes of this movie to then kill this woman that he never had a chance to profess his love to. I mean, this movie, man. And then that becomes even more symbolism because him actually proving to not just himself, but to her that he could follow through with what his orders were, which was to sacrifice himself for the good of others, quote unquote, but him doing it to Godzilla and to try that was something that he deemed as worthy enough for him to actually potentially kamikaze himself, but not when it was the war. Like that's just, I mean, that was super compelling. And then afterwards, I was like, "Oh, but no, can you see me still?"
Yeah, you froze for a little bit. Now it all just caught up.
Yep. Did you hear what I said?
Not really.
Great. All right, so I'll start over. So Godzilla. Let me do the recap of Godzilla -1. I'll read it off Wikipedia. No,
Okay,
I was just saying that whatever. It was amazing that she's still alive. That's all. Amazing.
It is. I
Freddie
agree
Airmail
with
says
that.
I cut off. It's super compelling. I think that was most of my argument. I think that was most of what I was saying.
Well, I also think that there's some play in there, and it might be, and this is gonna sound awful to say, but that kind of, you know, there's a fate that's linking them deeper than whatever circumstance you can imagine that would seem convenient. That could be like a sort of a more cultural approach to storytelling at a certain level too, because it does the way that sort of, it's almost saccharine, that ending, after all of this grit and viscera that you've seen, that like he gets the letter and and she's there and she's golden lit and all that stuff is but I think the argument being made is that there's like a destiny or a deeper cosmic fate at play in their lives there, because these are three people torn apart by war who have no association with each other, who are brought together by destiny.
Yeah, and like you're right, and there is definitely like the darker version of this is that they both are dead, and that kid is left. but and
she's
that
gonna live with that awful old lady across the street
who immediately hates her, and then is like, but like, oh, fine, here's some money, here's some rice, go make some rice curd. Like, just like, get out of my face, you crazy kids with your babies. No, she there is a darker, but you're right, that like kind of saccharine ending is very saccharine. But yes, like the fact that was the thing that was a little tough for me about having her die, quote unquote, was that in the middle of the movies, that was like, well, no, they were supposed to be this like this family. They were these three lost souls who found each other. And the fact that they do end up together at the end after what just happened, which was like the people coming together to solve their problems outside of the government. And now I mean, God, what a great freaking movie, man.
Go see it in a movie theater.
what a great freaking movie. I mean, just like seriously, like to me, it goes like Barbie, the best movie I've seen all year. Period. Barbie, not even close. Second is probably Theater Camp. And this is like right behind. This is one of the best movies I've seen all year. Period. Might be one of the best movies I've seen in the best couple years. Like up on top, like there. It's so freaking good.
It's hard to argue against it, and literally just as a movie going experience was something else. Really appreciate how much effort and work went into delivering me that experience. Sitting there in the movie theater, it showed a lot of restraint. I don't know, just something else. It's very, very, very good.
Great movie. Is it Star Wars or Star Trek? This is a question for you.
It's a very, very, very hard question to answer.
It is.
I think it might be a Dune. I think it's something that like is too emblematic of something better than the other two. It's its own, more toward its own thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. I mean, closest thing I would maybe say it is Andor, maybe. Like, so that might, in terms of like a story that is operating within a genre space, but it's telling it, but kind of doing its own thing that's based in character. So that I think, yeah, I guess it's Star Wars ? But it's definitely rocking its own thing for sure.
The big idea space of it though is very Star Trek. The allegorical nature of it is very Star Trek.
Yeah, wow.
So I think that and it's bone deep sci-fi like Star Trek is. Not Star Wars is way too fantastically.
Yeah, this is extremely grounded and not a lot of like fun. Not a lot of fun happening in this movie. Like, you know, like whimsy. No. There's no whimsy. We don't have like a Han Solo. This is serious stuff happening. But
you have fun in a great way. With your butt in the seat. But nobody in the movie ever.
The Godzilla stuff is fun, man. Yeah, the Godzilla stuff is super fun. Like watching people getting mashed up and him crushing into buildings and stuff. It's super fun, man. It works.
It's great. It was really cool.
All right, winners and losers. I feel like winners are everybody, but go ahead. Who's your big winner?
Godzilla, that big meaty boy. I think he's been done a disservice over the last like maybe 20 years, and I think that this is. You know, the post-credit sequence should have been him coming out of the Looney Tunes circle thing going, see, I told you.
Was there a post? I know they showed him like the like piece of his body like reforming, which I'm like, of course, but there was nothing after the credits, right?
I have no idea. I ran out of that movie theater so fast.
Yeah, get me out of there. That it comes out of different cultural sensibilities these days when it comes to movie making. Yep, you're right. I think it does. Freddie Airmail just always dominating the chat. Thank you, Freddie Airmail.
I'll tell you what Freddie Airmail is always delivering, and it is the crispiest takes.
Yeah, thank you. In the Airmail. Big winner. Yeah, Godzilla. I mean, holy cow. I mean, the way that they tribute the originality of the character and maintain the movements, but yet update him and make him cool. I mean, it's just like, you know, you see him, a lot of these current iterations of Godzilla, they keep him from you for a long time, and there's like always a big reveal. Like you see a lot of, when Godzilla's out, period. Like end of story. There's no like, you get like little bits and pieces, but you also get enough to know that they even have like the face that they made. I mean, just unbelievable. Big loser. I mean, I didn't miss not having Sam. I'm going to say it. I did not miss not having Sam's boat in this movie. Truly. Like, I almost feel like it would have been a distraction.
It's but for the opportunity upon opportunity to put it in there, you know, 3/4 of the movie is on water. It's an easy call to make. But
lot of boats. It could have been one of the tugboats. Could have been one of the tugboats at the end for sure.
It's just a formality at this point. I don't want to hang anything on this movie. So I'm going to reserve. You know who the loser is anybody that doesn't go see this in a movie theater.
100%. Yeah, the big loser is you if you don't go watch this movie. Like, holy cow. I mean, and I know what you're thinking. Like, I don't want to watch a Godzilla movie. It's great. It's a really great movie.
I don't like Godzilla as a piece of IP. Sure, it's there. I got to know about it. I'm not some big fan of the movies. They're like, I don't like so bad it's good or cheesy or whatever. So I had no like affinity for this going in, and this was won me 100%.
This was one on our list last year. We did turkeys. Like we did a bunch of IP that we wanted to see go away. One of them was the Godzilla legendary franchise, like the US Godzilla movies. If this is the Godzilla I get for the next 15 years, I mean, yum, yum, yum. Give it to me, please.
Absolutely. 100%.
Fantastic. All right. We got another read from old Rick, Santa Rick, whatever.
It's Uncle Santa Rick Caruso, and the Christmas and holiday themed offerings at this holiday season, including at Vincent's Capris for European men. We know you European dudes love wearing those weird little cargo capris while on vacation. Vincent's Capris for European men has a special sale on holiday themed capris for European men that'll have everyone at the holiday party saying, "Gee, Torvald, your ankles look great." Next, we also have, you can visit the farmers market attached to the Grove for a trip back to the Los Angeles of the 1930s when inflation caused an apple to cost like $10. And Uncle Santa Rick has also promised not to take so many selfies in the women's shoe section at Nordstrom's. So that's just some of the things you can look forward to this holiday season at the Grove.
Oh my goodness. It's funny if it wasn't like dangerously close to the truth.
He's the mayor of those toes.
Yeah, he and Tarantino. You can always find Caruso or Tarantino snooping around a Nordstrom's rack. Freaking.
They're at the DSW looking like the guy from the neighborhood watch sign, like a fedora and like jacket all up around his neck.
Oh boy. All right, you know what time it is now though.
Let's hit it.
I still don't have it on my end. I know you got. There we go. Did it end at the right point? It was perfect.
I think you got one little note of the second play in there. You're getting sharper. You're getting way sharper.
Oh, Freddie Emerald has a question. Which Marvel character would look best in capris? And then Fan Control, we said Thor. Who would look best in capris? I mean, Drax, yeah. Captain America, that's America's ass. He'd look good in capris.
I'm thinking I'm thinking what are we looking at?
Shang-Chi looked great and he looked good in capris.
Calves wise, I'm thinking who'd have the best setup calves wise, and that's typically somebody who's carrying a lot of weight up top. He'll have the shapeliest calves. So
Captain Capri.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Hulk is basically already in capris.
Yeah. Hulk is a capri man already.
Capri man. Which, I mean, you've already heard. I've said it many times on this show. I don't understand why Hulk still has clothes on, but you know, it's a thing. It's amazing to me that his shirt rips, but his pants still intact. It makes no sense.
I'm sure if he had a penis on his chest, that shirt wouldn't rip either.
Hey, it's exactly right. Anyway, taking a left turn from
you know what that means. I'm sorry.
From take a left turn from chest penises. No, I know exactly what you mean. Over the Thanksgiving break, we saw the return of David Tennant as Doctor Who for the 60th anniversary special. Ncuti Gatwa was named the 15th Doctor, but when Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, regenerated, she turned into David Tennant again. Tennant, who will play Doctor Who for 2 specials, and then Gatwa, brilliant as Eric on the show Sex Education, were the first Doctor of color. So we are playing a game called Doctor Who. This one is particularly silly. Fair warning. It's simple. I'm going to read a name, and you have to tell me if they played Doctor Who. There have been 19 different actors. There have been 15 doctors. 19 different actors have played him because there's been like a rogue doctor. There was John Hurt did one. That's not one of the questions. It's rapid fire, though. So you ready?
Let's do it.
Christopher Eccleston.
Yes.
Yes. Number 9, Jodie Whittaker.
Yes.
Number 13, John Pertwee.
Yes.
Number 3, Martin Bartlesby.
No.
Nope. Barton Martlesby.
Nope.
Wink Martindale. Nope. Sylvester McCoy.
No.
Yes. Number 7.
Oh.
McLester Sick Roy.
No.
Nope. Martin Bartlesby.
No.
Bartwin Dicklesby. Yes or no? Nope.
No.
Dick Wickle Martles Roy.
No.
Nope. Roy Bickle Dick Mickles Roy.
I don't think so.
Nope. Patrick Troughton.
Yes.
Yes. Tantric Proughton.
No.
No. Martin Bartlesby.
No.
No, you're right. Matt Damon.
No.
Matt Smith.
Yes.
Matt Damon Smith McBickle Dick Sickle Trottenby.
No.
No. No, once again, that was Matt Damon Smith McBickle Dick Sickle Trottenby. No. And number 19, Martin Bartlesby.
No.
No. Cranjus McBasketball. Cedric Diggory. I love that. TV McTeamface. I love these names. Are great. Fantastic.
Oh.
In the chat. That was Doctor Who.
Oh my God.
I told you that was going to be a really particularly silly one.
That was the high point of my week so far.
Martin Bartlesby. Sounds like it should be a Doctor Who.
What a...
I'm sure there's a character that's been on an episode of Doctor Who named Martin Bartlesby, and if not, feel free to take it.
Tarkin played a Doctor Who.
Peter Cushing?
Yeah.
He was in an episode. He was. I don't think he was ever a doctor.
He played a doctor in 2 movies. He's like not in the official lineage, but he is a Doctor Who.
I love that. I love that. Oh, I demand more of these. Oh, I'll do these name run games are my favorite things in the world because they're really easy to make and they're super stupid.
Headache.
All right. After that fantastic game, let's get to the Hoopla recommendations. Hoopla is an app where you can I demand a shrubbery. Thank you for the airmail. Oh, Monty Python, baby. My kid, side note, real quick. We were watching the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. That's what it's called.
The Macy Gray Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Macy Gray Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgivings and turkeys.
Yep. I believe that turkey has brought us here. We did it. We're watching it, and the cast of Spamalot featuring Taran Killam, who was
old
playing
friend Taran Killam.
Yep, Taran Killam, and she was watching it, and I was having a great. They did a performance of the Knights of the Round Table, and my daughter, who's obsessed with musical theater, was like, "What is this show?" And I was like, "Oh, let's explore the world of Monty Python, shall we?" And I really want to expose her to the Holy Grail, so I think we're going to watch that very soon.
Who knew that musical theater could be a gateway to something actually good?
Oh, how dare you?
I'm just joking. I love musical theater.
How dare you? But this is Hoopla. Hoopla, you can put in your library card for your local library, and you can check out tons and tons of comics. Alex, do you have a recommendation for the folks?
Well, I mean, another aside, I think, I like giving Hoopla a shout out, and it's a shout out for libraries and all that every week. But increasingly, we're suggesting stuff off of the platform.
Oh, so I have something on the platform. So you go wherever you go.
Oh, I mean, this is a reiteration too, but watch Scavenger's Reign on Max. It's all out now, all 12 episodes. Some of the best animation I've seen in a long time. Some of the best science fiction I've seen in a long time. It really goes there. It's got action. It's got human emotion. It's big. It's intimate. It's very, very, very interesting. And on Hoopla, read any of the Jonathan Hickman Avengers stuff because that'll give you a clue into what's coming next. Incursions, all that stuff. But finish Scavenger's Reign on Max. It's amazing.
Love it. I will be getting into my suggestion by also talking about a television show via a movie. There was a movie that came out. I'm a big Edgar Wright person. I'm one of my favorite filmmakers. I love the Cornetto trilogy. I love the TV show Spaced. His first American film, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Also a personal favorite film of mine. There is now a show on Netflix called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. It is in the animation style of the comics. Scott Pilgrim started as a comic, and they've got all the original actors voicing all of the characters, but it's more it more sticks to the storyline in the comics. But it's got Michael Cera, it's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Aubrey Plaza, Chris Evans, Kieran Culkin, Brie Larson, Jason Schwartzman. They're all back voicing their characters. But you can go back on to Hoopla and you can check out Scott Pilgrim, Volume 1, Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life. And I'm currently reading it, and it is absolutely delightful. And they have almost the whole run that, my favorite movie of all time. Absolutely. It's an amazing film.
Really good.
The show on Netflix is, more of the same awesomeness. And it compelled me to see if they had it on Hoopla, and they did. So that's my recommendation. Go check out all the Scott Pilgrim stuff on Hoopla. It's wonderful. Now we have one more ad read, right, from the from Santa Rick.
Uncle Santa Rick's Christmas at the Grove. We have every Tuesday and Thursday through the month, we've got Clem, the wettest Santa. He's wet, he's Santa, and as Clem always says, hey, why not? Also, if you write $100,000 check to the Caruso for Mayor campaign, you can smash up everything in the Swarovski store. And for the 20th year in a row, the Grove is going to be featuring their world-famous snow every evening. Warning, by breathing in the snow, you agree to not sue the Grove or Rick Caruso for any resultant cancers or deaths, or death cancers, the kind of cancer that death gets.
The snow is just asbestos. That's how they're able to get that real, like, thick consistency to it.
Hey, your pulmonologist wishes it was asbestos, okay, baby?
I love the wettest Santa because, hey, why not?
Yeah, it's Clem.
The wettest Santa.
And by the way, most Santas are pretty dry, right? So like,
yeah, I know. So to be like the wettest Santa is probably not that wet, but still, it's got to be enough to where
he could be sopping.
It's got to be enough to where that's your name. It's got to be like, you got to see that Santa. That's the wettest Santa I've ever seen. Holy cow! All right, what did your dogs think of the Godzilla -1?
Well, my dogs, after a couple of rounds of stuff that kept me at home, they were a little tapping the wristwatch and checking the clock at my absence. But I gave them some treats, and they were all right. And now they've heard me say it, and it's their cue to attack me.
That's what dogs do. My dog, I came home. I saw this movie very late. Not a time I like going to the movies. It was the only time I could go. My daughter sang, her school choir sang at the Culver City Tree Lighting Festival last night. So 7 o'clock would have been a real sweet spot, but that was when we were in peak tree lighting time. So I had to go at 10:15. Not my favorite time to go to the movies. Very hard to stay awake, but this movie made it very easy to stay awake. And I got home and the door was open to my bedroom. The dog had every opportunity to come running in to see how it was, and she could not even be bothered. She just stayed in the bedroom and was asleep and stayed asleep, and that was it. So she had absolutely zero F's to give about Godzilla, but it's fine because I had plenty of them. I wrote that down. That's one thing they did not do. It did not go. We didn't get that. That was the one thing that was missing. I wanted that. But everything else, we got the bum 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 bum.
Yeah, I mean that Godzilla scream is one of the most iconic sounds in history.
That was one of the disappointments of the film, but that's, minuscule compared to all the wonderful things from it. Woo, we did it, Alex. Great show.
Oh boy, we got it. We got it all going on.
Where can the folks find you? It's at Duke Midnight, right above your head.
At Duke Midnight on all major social media platforms and wherever major magazines are sold.
Yeah, you can find me at Kenny G. Stevenson on Twitch and TikTok. You can find me at Kenny G. Donut King on Instagram and Threads. You can also find me, if you live in the Los Angeles area, the next 2 Fridays, I will be doing a show called Over There at the Impro Theater. It is a fully improvised World War II story that we get one suggestion from the audience and then put on a full 45 to 50 minute fully improvised World War II story with like costumes and names like Cooper and Hanks, get over here, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun happening tonight. Tonight's opening night. And I'll be in the show tonight.
Ooh,
so
baby.
9:30 at the Impro Theater. I'll be in the show. It's Friday, the next 2 Friday, Saturdays, I'm only in the Friday shows, but go to the Saturday shows if you can too, because it's a lot of fun. Bang.
I'm there too.
Yep. We did it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. No idea what we'll do next week. We'll do something fun though. Because we do. That's what we do.
I think we'll figure something out, and guess what? You'll like it. You'll eat it
Yeah.
and you'll like it. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. That's the
Yep.
fan-controlled motto.
That's the fan-controlled motto. You get what? Not Mary Poppins. Fan-controlled. Let's just go out on that. Here we go. Bye, everybody.
Bye. I love you.